Okay, so really the key thing I wanted to talk about today was really around agile and business agility. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because the word agile gets used in two ways, at least, in the same sentence in many conversations I have with customers. So I want to talk about how Microsoft can help support delivery of programs and projects, and that's not just with Microsoft Project. When I think about business agility, most of the time that's about things like collaboration and how we make collaboration more easier, and kind of remove the friction for things like employee engagement. But the big thing is really around collaboration, and when they say 50% increase in collaborative work, what they mean is tools to help with collaboration, because we collaborate every day, no? I go and see my customers, I go and see colleagues, and we're collaborating on work. But also, customers who collaborate more effectively, and this is a key one, are 5 times more likely to be high-performing as an organization. And we'll start to see how we talk about high-performing organizations as we go through the presentation today as well. And also the key thing around teams, nowadays we're much more spread out geographically. Agile. I think it's the most poorly used term in the, I'll say, English dictionary. So, there is agile, ability to move quickly and easily. And then there's agile relating to project management in terms of agile software and systems development. So that's how I frame it. I frame it in 2 ways. Business agility as one term, and agile software and systems development, So, business agility. Can an organization innovate and adapt to market and environmental changes in productive and cost-effective ways? Various people said that. I just cobbled that together from looking on the internet, of course. Kodak, very old company, that went from kind of hero to zero in, 10, 15 years, something like that? Did you know in 1975 they invented the digital camera? So it just shows you how you can squander these chances. How most organizations don't get that kind of 10-year thing, they get a year, 6 months. 18 months to actually make those kind of changes. So that was, again, the slow-moving piece. And they didn't listen to their employees. So the person who invented the camera, the digital camera in 1975, showed it around, and everybody went, don't worry about that. It's kind of nice, but we like our chemicals and our paperwork and those kind of things, So they just left it to kind of wither on the vine and die in that particular way. So employee engagement is a key thing. And I bring it up here again because that's really a whole piece around innovation. And I guess that's because if we look at all of these things like innovation can be threatening, to the status quo. Why would I want to change anything? I'm quite happy with that, thank you very much. So again, that's a key thing that we talk about. I'm not sure it's okay to fail. It's an interesting concept, that, and I won't go into it too much. But it's that ability to understand that there will be failures, but that shouldn't be the mindset that we are going to fail, obviously. And I think that's a fundamental piece there is, yes, things will not go in the way we want them to, but can we then reutilize? Can we pivot, to use that term, and make that do something else for us? Learn faster, obviously. Be customer-centric. Low-friction collaboration is a dreadful term, but what it really means is how can we make it easier for everyone to collaborate? So you're all using Skype for business. That is one line of attack or defense in terms of collaboration. So that's one layer, but actually that goes back to the whole employee engagement part. How do we use the tools that come from Microsoft, for example, to be able to capture those ideas, and then how do we do something with it? But none of this is any good without bold leadership. So as individuals, we can do all of these things, but actually we need people to make that happen as an organization. And wrapping this piece up, did you know that Satya Nadella, who is our CEO, wrote a book recently? Have you seen this? And we've really had to change as an organization. There's a lot more competition out there. We have the likes of Amazon with AWS, their cloud solutions, and if we hadn't changed, several years ago, and have Azure as we have nowadays, we would be in a much worse place. Everyone knows the Agile Manifesto, don't they? Yes? Yeah, there's some nodding of heads, that's good. I put that bit, software and systems development as well, because that's where it fits best, yeah? Because there are aspects of Agile that you can use throughout an organization, yeah? But it is a methodology. I think of a methodology like the bumpers. It's there as guidance. You bounce off each side of it, perhaps, yeah? But it's really there to help you and push you in the right direction, yeah? Which is different to a process, which is like, you shall do this, then this, then this, then this, yeah? So that's how I see the world. But obviously, things like Agile have been around for years, yeah? You know, Toyota started this stuff kind of in the 50s, yeah, with their Kanban approach, yeah, to how they do just-in-time delivery and the like, yeah? And obviously, it's taken forward from there over the years as well. So, and there are plenty of ways. In terms of approaches, by the way, my favorite is SAFe, the Scaled Agile Framework. I really like SAFe because, and I guess it's being old-fashioned and still like in project portfolio management as a whole, how it all ties in. So it ties in from kind of ideation, idea capture, how I align those items to my business drivers, and then how I actually go about executing and delivering that as well. Whereas a lot of, you know, regular kind of things like Scrum, Lean, and what have you, they just focus on kind of, this is what we're going to do and deliver it and go. So that's why if you are looking at Agile approaches, really I recommend looking at SAFe. But before Agile, we had bimodal. But it's kind of what we do anyway. But I think we're at a kind of point of change at the moment. So we have traditional or waterfall on the left-hand side that most people are used to. Yeah. So things like we do big requirements, then we go to deliver it, then we test it. It's not what we wanted. You know, the normal kind of things that people joke about in terms of traditional, which again I don't believe. I think traditional or waterfall has its place. Yeah. In the same way that Agile has its place. And it's definitely an and, not an or position that we are in with regards to our approaches to delivering our projects. Yeah? I think we'll all agree that when we look at delivering projects and programs and portfolios of work, we judge the right approach based on our experience and the experience of our peers as well. So that's a key thing. I like the piece in the middle. So we've got different goals and how our values change and the approaches that we change. So this is really just saying we're in a transitional kind of phase. But actually, over the time, I've changed my thoughts about this because I don't think that arrow should go from left to right. I think it should be circular. Because actually, we'll always have something on the left and we'll always have something on the right. There is no kind of right or wrong approach. It really depends on what type of project we're actually moving forward with as well. So let's agree you're not Agile simply because you say you are. That's the one I hear a lot from customers. Hey, we're Agile. Can you define that for me, please? What do you actually mean by that? Task boards are great, been around forever. And speaking to a lady earlier, marketing, in fact, any area, it's great. It's really visual, yeah, it's there, and you can have it very quickly. But that doesn't mean you're Agile again. It just means you've got a task board where you're making it very easy for people to see what you're actually planning to do. And then you're not Agile when you run waterfall as Agile. And I heard I heard someone say that the other day, and I had to stop myself from saying anything terrible. But I do see that a lot. You know, people, they will kind of they'll have a project plan. And again, people get really stuck on like Gantt charts and task boards as being the big thing. You know, like that's just a visualization. It can help you, absolutely. But actually, being a project or program or portfolio manager, the planning bit or the tools bit is tiny compared to actually communicating with our colleagues and making things happen. That's what we're here to do, make things happen. That's how I always think about it anyway. And if you haven't embraced the adoption and change management that's required. One of the most dangerous things about Agile with a capital A is you read it, sounds great. Actually, it's really easy to implement, isn't it? I mean, I can just start doing it. I don't actually need any tools. I can have a task board, and that will be my starting point. And that's kind of where it starts to fall down, because like any methodology, you only typically get one shot at getting it into an organization. You get one shot to do it right, otherwise it gets discredited, and then you can't do it again for a period of time. Yeah, because people go, oh, I'm not doing Agile. It failed terribly. We didn't deliver. We had these issues. Yeah. So again, it really needs that adoption and change management. I'm going to talk about that right at the end. So it's iterative and waterfall. It's not an or. It's going to be what's best for you as an organization. Customers want to be agile. Yeah, they want agility and they want agile. They're two different things. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah. It's not anarchy or controlled chaos. Yeah, you still need to plan. In fact, if I think about proper agile, I have to have user stories. Yeah, I've got to do all of that writing and thinking and planning, and then I have to plan my sprints, and then I have to plan the bit where I show people what we've actually delivered, and then I have to have prioritization, and I have to have product owners, and I need sponsors, and I need the sponsors brought into these things. So if you're thinking about implementing agile kind of software and systems development, that wasn't supposed to scare you off. It's to say you have got a lot of things to think about. It's not a 5-minute job to actually just implement that. It's important to recognize and embrace new ways of working, absolutely. But we should always recognize the value of current and past working practices. So, tools that support agility and agile. So there's a couple of things here. We're going to look at another couple of customers, yeah? We're going to look at some tools very briefly, okay, no live stuff. Whiteboards and sticky notes, we've got Project Online, I've talked about briefly, Visual Studio, Teams and Office 365 Planner. So whiteboards and sticky notes, it's a great place to start, yeah? But it's just a task board. It's just some things that you're working on. It's not Agile with a capital A. If you want to do Agile with a capital A, you're going to need, obviously, like I said, your user stories. You need everyone bought into it, the prioritization, Scrum Masters. I would recommend you get a company in to help you with that, i.e. for coaching and training. And you can expect it based on my experience with other customers and also from what I've read, you can potentially be looking at up to a year before you really see the benefits of that change. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Yeah. So again, from there, we go to things like Microsoft Project Online. Now, Project on desktop, apparently you can't do agile planning in that. You can put sprints in and do all sorts of stuff. Yeah. It just doesn't have a task board at the moment. But we have things like Visual Studio, which is our software development area. And Visual Studio, again, has the whole gamut of capabilities around managing agile working practices. So out of the box, it will do things like SAFe, so Scaled Agile Framework, and regular Agile as well. You can see here we've got things like epics, features, stories. It has a whole backlog built into it, does bugs, all the things that you need as a software development and systems development house to use agile working practices. Yeah? But it's only some software. It comes down to the teams like we spoke about at the beginning and the people within those teams to make it a success. Yeah? And that bold leadership that says, yes, we're going to make this happen. Skype for Business will actually be becoming Teams over a period of time. That's just something to be aware of. But Teams is a great way of being able to collaborate in a singular space. So I can create a team, and from there I can have things like who uses OneNote here, by the way? OneNote is an amazing tool. If you've never used it, ask someone to show you how to use it. It's just brilliant in terms of being able to take notes and those kind of things. But what Teams will allow you to do is collaborate really effectively from a tools perspective. In terms of being able to capture information and share it and collaborate, Teams is a great place to have everything in one location. So documents, instant messaging. In the future, it'll even do things like if you have a call through Teams, it will actually use the speech recognition to then take those notes for you and turn them into what was actually said in the call, which is great. I hate taking notes in meetings, and now this will actually give you that kind of ability to then use that and search for it as well. So in Agile, there are any number of ceremonies, daily stand-ups, yeah, weekly scrums, all of that kind of good stuff. Daily scrums, yeah. Roles, so who are the product owners? You really need them to drive the showcases, not technical leaders. You need a mindset for getting things right first time. And engagement, yeah. So really, what we're saying with ARM is the fact that they recognize the value of using an agile approach for deploying their new tool set. Two things came out of that, though. One was, it's only one from procurement here. No? Ah, okay. One of their issues was procurement were like, oh, we'd like a fixed price for this. Yeah, that's not really going to happen so much because you want to do it in an agile way. So we can tell you what we think is going to happen in terms of delivering items. But of course, that can change over time. So you're going to need a bit more wiggle room. So there was, for them, there were some discussions backwards and forwards with procurement in terms of how the contract was going to work out. So that was a bit of a change. Yeah. The other thing was that there were two main parts to their project. One was delivering a new tool set. And that was quite easy to do in an agile type way. The other one, though, was they had a bunch of reports they needed. And actually, they tried to do that in an agile way, and that didn't work because they really needed a really well-defined set of objectives for those particular reports that they were able to then build and go with. And in fact, they tried to do it in an agile way, and it didn't work. They failed, so they pulled that back, and they actually just made that into a kind of regular waterfall type project. So here's a set of projects. We know exactly it needs to look like this, and we're going to deliver them. Yeah. So they changed their approach. Customers are successful with agile in these kind of main areas. I'm not going to read them out because I know that you can see those. Number one, this just goes back to what I was saying. Use the correct approach for what you're doing. Think about it. It may be agile, it may be waterfall. Typically, the way that I see it is typically kind of waterfall, and there are parts of agile within that waterfall. Yeah, it's the and part as well. Set realistic expectations. If you're going to deploy agile working methods, it's not a work of 5 minutes. Yeah, you're going to need some time to change and to learn. Yeah, that's the key thing. And you need to be patient. Yeah, so number 8, like I said earlier, it can take months, a year, even longer to actually see the difference. The last one, investing in coaching and training. Books will only take you so far. Yeah, and that's a key thing here. Unlike things like waterfall, where you really need kind of tools to support you with that, agile approaches, you don't really need that many tools in some respects. Yeah, but you do need to think about how you're going to get that change into your organization.